right, I'm here with James Matthews, who's put together this amazing book on this legend and this legend, Les Lee, the Novocastrian tattooer from Newcastle. Started tattooing in 1955. So give James a follow, his studio a follow, Skin Blitz, Tattoo History. He's the guy up in the Newcastle region. Yeah, good times.
I was with some friends who were pretty young. I had no idea who he was at this stage. We actually drove down his street, right? This is the very first time I remember ever hearing about him. Drove down his street, probably being dickheads, young kids. Didn't realise at the time it's a cul-de-sac. Had to turn around, come back up. This old dude was like running out the front of his house with a broomstick trying to hit the car. And I said, who the fuck is this guy? And they go, this is Les Lee, man. And after that, I probably
What were you doing, burnouts or something?
Oh, not burnouts, just driving erratically. I guess fast. Probably faster than we should have been. After that, it wasn't until I actually started my apprenticeship. And
so back to that, they go, that's Les Lee. So was he like a local legend in the area?
Man, the kids that grew up in the suburb where Les lives and still lives now were told to stay away from him. Because he's a loose unit. And their parents probably told them, don't go down there. So they all knew who Les was. I wasn't from the area, so I didn't know him at the time. But didn't really see him again until I started my apprenticeship. And we used to have his old autoclave in the studio, so he popped in from time to time, said g'day. I don't know what the connection was between him and my old boss. There was something going on there, but and then same again. Didn't hear or see him for years until I decided to contact him. Got his number, through a friend of mine. So I could get tattooed by him, and that was about 10 years ago.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Because in here you sort of, well, maybe you can give us a bit of an insight. When did he start tattooing? Because he had the first shop in Newcastle, correct?
He did, yeah. Prior to that, he started in 1955.
Yeah, wow.
In Swansea, which is like the town I grew up. Right on Lake Macquarie, probably about 3 blocks from the house where I grew up. 1955, 57, I believe, is when he opened the first shop. And it was just called Les Lee Tattoo. In Newcastle. And like the book says, and I can't even remember how many shops he's had off the top of my head now. He floated around so much. Everywhere from Newcastle to Tamworth, Singleton. But predominantly around like Newcastle, Hunter Valley area.
And then I remember like reading early Live to Rides, that sort of thing, before there were tattoo magazines, and I think it was Tom and Les's.
Tom Denholm.
Was it Hunter Street?
Yeah. So that's the bank corner.
Right. And that was, I remember thinking like, that's the first time I heard of Les Lee. And that would have been late 80s, early 90s. And I imagine that would have been a power shop in that era.
And probably like one of the only ones in Newcastle still at that point. And he ended up selling that to a bloke by the name Darren Delaney. And that was Tom and Darren's for a while, and it sort of changed names a few times. In
the book, you see a lot of Les and Tony together, or not a lot, but quite a few photos of them. And, Tony holds Les in high regard, and there's photos of those guys travelling together, going to conventions back in the day, just trying to push the boundaries. And, Tony's got some good stories of Les. He obviously seems quite the character.
Oh, he's a character.
And that you see him in some of those pictures there. He's got his singlet on, the Akubra hat, like the Aussies in town.
Aussie tattoo. He speaks very highly of Tony too. They both hold each other in pretty high regard, I think.
You've obviously got a good friendship with Les now. I know he's parted some of his collection and stuff to you. Like, when did he sort of maybe officially, unofficially wind up tattooing full time, or step away from the shop stuff? Late 90s, early 2000s?
No, early 90s. I think he sold the shop. 91 maybe is when he sort of said that he retired. Dates are a little vague with him being 85. It's sort of hard to nail things down. But I'm pretty certain 91 it might be when he sold the shop.
But you've had some good interactions with him, like you talking about he'd just turn up to your shop and give you a load of pigment. you know, all the old school tricks and everything.
Yeah, he still has quite a bit of stuff there that I'm sort of lubing the wheels trying to.
Yeah, well, you'll be in line for it.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
So obviously with the book, all the profits, like I mentioned, are going to Les.
Yep.
And hopefully that'll grease the wheels. Maybe he'll let go of a little bit more of that collection.
Yeah, like here's him as a youngster.
Yeah, that was his first triumph that he had, 1956, I believe.
And then here's a later photo of him.
Yeah, I'm not
loves his bike
not
still.
exactly sure from. Yeah, he was actually, or still is, I think, a member of a vintage motorcycle club.
Yep.
My wife's uncle and her dad, I think, at one stage were both members of as well. So we ran into him at my wife's uncle's funeral not too long back as well.
Yeah, amazing. Like, yeah, look at this. Like the era, you know. And I'm sure Les would have just tattooed anything and everything. He didn't specialise in a style, just specialised in tattooing.
Yeah, more or less. I think his thing was he just wanted to belt them out. Yep. Little jobs, palm size things, you know, just get them in, get them out. He said, and I sort of wrote it in the book there, you know, he didn't spend a lot of time taking photos. That was one thing I struggled to get my hands on was photos of his actual work from when he did it. Yep. Just because he said he didn't want to fuck around. Yeah, people more interested in tattooing people.
Totally, like that's the way it was. Why would you waste your time taking photos when someone's sitting there good to go?
Didn't have to worry about Instagram.
Interesting business card here. Leslie, diplomas in remedial massage, sorry, I need my glasses. Naturopathic studies, small, delicate tattooing. So he's obviously been a master of all trades.
Yeah, I think he's the way he sort of put that to me was he was making himself more legitimate. Yeah, by doing those things, you know.
Well, I know Greg. He was a justice of the peace.
Yeah, right.
And they would do things like that because tattooing in that era was definitely frowned upon. So, yeah, it was some way of giving it some sort of legitimacy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, for his era, you know, he's not your stereotypical biker-looking dude. You know, he could be like, you know, any old tradie or anyone's dad sort of thing.
Yep.
Obviously fit. He's been fit his whole life.
Still fit. And he has a heavy bag hanging under his house still now.
Mate, here's a classic one. Tony said to me, Tony said to me a few years ago, he's in his 80s and he just got in a fight.
Yeah.
Like,
I wouldn't doubt
wild.
it. Every time I see him, he puts one on my chin or into my ribs or something. I still don't think you'd want to fuck with him.
Yeah. But, you know, here's some, like, classic 80s tattooing. Sort of when it first sort of started being accepted by more females. Really nice flower, stencil there. Like, 80s man still would have been making his own inks, making his own needles, tuning his own machines, all the rest of it. Oh, yeah, here we go, bank corner.
No, that's actually, believe it or not, that's him in Tamworth, I think he said. It was just a shop. I don't know if it was like a clothing shop or something, but he spotted it at Leslie's corner.
Mate, here's the classic, like the wood paneling in the tattoo studios back in the day. That's got to make a comeback. You know? Oh, yeah, first tattoo done in 1955 by, you know, Alex Chader.
Yeah. So. And he said he got quite a bit of knowledge from Alex, spent a bit of time with him. Yeah. This is this big American guy.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, he's a character. Like, I know this is sold out, but I'm sure in the future, maybe what might be a nice idea is to do like a digital ebook of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, people still got to pay for it. But that's another way of getting it out there without having to go through all the postage and everything.
The postage has been a killer, man. I've had still lots of interest, and I have mentioned to people maybe doing a second small run.
Yep.
I don't want it to get out of hand because I like the idea of it, you know, being like a little niche type thing.
Here's an idea, mate. Hold off and drop them at the Sydney Tattoo Convention. So people have got to come to your booth and get them there.
Yeah.
You know, it might be nice to even try and get Les to come down for a day.
Yeah.
Because we've got a bunch of old timers. Tony will be there and a few others. So
I'm sure it'd be good getting them paired together.
Yeah, get them in the bar, get them on the booze, telling the war stories.
I'd love that.
So, what else have you managed to get off Les over the years? A couple of machines, I imagine.
He did give me a couple of machines recently. A Johnny Lee machine.
Yep. Which Spalding. I think Johnny Lee, predated Cindy Ray stuff.
Right, yeah. So I spoke with big Michael Keys about all this stuff because some of it, I mean, obviously he's the guy, knows everything. Johnny Lee said it'd be, I think, 50s. He actually, Les got his first kit from Harry Bartram, which was the guy who was sort of responsible for Cindy Ray, I guess. And Johnny Lee machines and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I've got one of them. He's got some more gigantic, big, thick, heavy fucking machines. And I'd love to get the rest of them off him. And I'm working on that.
Oh, mate, in time it'll happen. Yeah. It'd be interesting because after here you're going down to see Tony.
I am,
Yeah, Tony will have some good stories about him. I think recently I think Les gave Tony a couple of furnace machines.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Tony mentioned that because that's something I've been trying to get my hands on for quite a while.
The Holy Grail.
He said I had some. They went to Tony. I spoke to Tony because I know Tony had lost some stuff in a fire or something at one point, but he said they weren't part of that, so he's still got them. He's not willing to let go of anything. He made that very clear over the phone.
Yeah, totally. No, Tony's awesome, man. Like, you know, as like me, we're very similar. We both have the passion for tattooing and the love of the history, and it's nice to spend time with these older guys. For me, they're very special moments in life because they've paved the way for us. Les paved the way in Newcastle. You know, Tony here, John Entwistle in Melbourne, all the rest of it in all the other states. And, you know, they've seen tattooing change so much. Like, this stuff's 40 years old. You know, tattooing as an industry has been on a rocket ship like this. And we're fortunate enough to still be able to talk to these guys, see the grassroots stuff. And for them, it must be so mind-blowing to see how tattooing has just changed. You know, from being a rough and tumble working class art, it's probably gone from being predominantly blue-collar industry to now it's maybe considered white-collar in some aspects of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, these guys are all the pioneers.
Absolutely.
And they've paved the way, you know. And I'd like to think maybe one day when we're old and grey, the next crew is going to want to chat to us about how it was and, you know, pass on that knowledge and keep the lineage going.
Well, that's part of the thing is for me, you know, trying to, like with Les's collection and stuff like that, you know, to make sure it ends up in good hands, safe hands, so that it's going to just go on for the next generation after us, you know. I think that's really important.
And you were mentioning he still does the odd tattoo here and there.
Yeah, and he said he'd love to. So if anyone wants to be tattooed by Les, maybe they could
go through James.
Get in contact with me,
Yeah, like I mentioned before off camera, mate, set up a day in the shop. Get him to come in and...
guest spot.
I'm sure people would love it.
Yeah.
So, what are you doing for the rest of the day? You're down in Sydney for the day, doing this?
From here, go see Tony, drop off a book for him. And then I am off to Tattoo Rosie's.
Awesome.
To get tattooed, and a few other guys in there want to grab some books and catch up with some people.
Good tattoo day, good tattoo history day.
Absolutely, mate. I'm stoked. Happy to be here.
It's crazy, isn't it? Like how life goes. You know, you're running a shop, you're doing your tattoos, but we're still getting the buzz off being clients as well.
Yeah.
Giving back to the industry and being a part of it, discovering new little things here and there, and it's cool.
Yeah. I sort of stayed in my bubble for so long, you know, and I'm pushing now, trying to get out and about and meet new people, and it's doing good.
Yeah, good times. Awesome, dude. I reckon we'll call it a day, and I'll let you do your thing.
No worries.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.